So my name is Lisa Aubrey-Coslet and I am the owner, together with my husband, of the Pandy Inn in Dawston. So we've been here nearly 9 years, and I can't remember how many digs I've done, but quite a few, yeah. It's about 7, I'm not sure. Might be 8, I can't remember. Anyway, there's been quite a few, and I am lucky to host these wonderful people in the evenings when they come up. Yeah, it's honestly, it's my favourite time of year apart from Eurovision. It's up there, it's up above Christmas for me, which is a big thing. Yeah, I think it's Eurovision and archaeologists tie at number 1 and then Christmas is number 2, so there we go.
About 25 miles, we live in Herefordshire.
Actually it was around 10 miles, I came from Hereford.
I'm sort of between Cheltenham and Gloucester.
And I'm the Tewkesbury end of Gloucester.
Originally we come from Melbourne, Victoria in Australia. We've travelled obviously from Taliban on Usk today to come out to see the site. So.
Yes, I live about a couple of miles down the valley, Peterchurch, the next village.
And I come from Trellick, which is a small village just south of Monmouth.
No, today I've just come from Hay, but I've lived in the Golden Valley for about 30 years.
It's seeing the same people year after year that are coming back, and you're seeing these, I mean, I used to be a teacher, so for me, seeing these kids develop, well, they're not kids, they're adults, aren't they? But they're all kids because they're younger than me. So seeing these kids develop and grow and moving on into their chosen careers, and even the ones that don't go into archaeology in one shape or another, seeing them coming back, they're actually taking their holidays to come and join the dig here, to come and work with Dr. Jew and Dr. Nick and all the others that are here every single year doing this, and that they come and volunteer. And I mean, God, it's not like they're volunteering to dig in Greece or Egypt or somewhere beautiful and warm. Well, I mean, it is beautiful here, but below me it's been blinking cold, and it usually rains for at least 2 of the weeks that they're here. And they're sleeping in tents when they could be in, I don't know, some luxury B&B or whatever. But they come back, and that is a joy. It's a joy to see them, it really is, yeah.
This site is extremely old, but our knowledge of it is extremely new. The majority, if not all of the digs, have been done in the last 3 to 4 years, and no one really knows what they're going to find.
Yeah, after the session actually I learned a lot about this and the excavation, and I came to know that you all have found evidence nearly 6,000 years. That's good old date. So, and about that Radostone Valley and all, first time I heard that.
What I really love about coming here is the landscape. Yeah. You can look out over the hills, you can see the Skirrid, and you can get that sense of
being in the ancient landscape.
Being in an ancient landscape a lot better than you can in some of these that are plonked next to a road with a big housing estate behind them. The fact that the landscape is still very much untouched, I think really adds to the beauty of the place.
Definitely, it's been blown away. It's having the wind in your hair. It's just sort of the whole, well, you just look around, it's just stunning. And you could see why that place was actually put there to bury people. Because travelling around, you see all the different sites and you think, yeah, I know why they put that here.
I think this is a much more touchy-feely, if you want to put it that way. You can get much more closer up to it. Stonehenge, you can't get close to it anymore. A lot of the more modern historical sites are obviously still very well controlled. Whereas coming here, it's very much more personal. It's very quiet, not many people around. And you can walk around in any angle you want to get, you can touch, you can feel. So it's much more personal from that point of view.
I mean, the best Neolithic sites I've ever visited are in Orkney, but you don't get that quality of preservation. Partly, I think, because they built in stone up there, and down here an awful lot of the dwellings were built in timber. And so I do understand the painful process of trying to figure out where all the post holes were and what shape the building was. I think I've got a better understanding of the site. I can see there's still an awful lot to learn.
I know that there was one year during COVID, I'm pretty sure that they didn't come, because then we had another year in COVID when Dr. Dew had basically the Encyclopedia Britannica of rules that they had to follow and regulations and filling stuff out, and we had areas in the garden that were segregated for the students, and oh yeah, the American students had to go into quarantine, didn't they, before they could join, so they had to go into quarantine for a week. You didn't know this? Yeah, so they had to go into quarantine for a week in a hotel, I believe, before they were actually allowed to come down and do the dig with people, and there were COVID tests on site and stuff, so yeah. So they must have missed one dig. That must have been the first lockdown then, so it must have been the second year of COVID. When was that, 2021 then? So yeah.
Fairly minimal, short briefing from the better half, mainly about what we could find on the web, which, as I said, was minimal in comparison to the briefing we've just received from the two English heritage guides.
Nothing.
A fair bit. We're both really interested in ancient sites in general, so we know roughly when it was constructed and the environment and what would have been going on in the area at the time. But there's so much development going on that it's always nice to come back. Archaeology itself is so speculative. It's nice to come and see how those developments have added to the interpretation of the site and the landscape in general.
We tend to come out at least once a year, maybe twice. Actually, I think this is my third visit here this year so far.
We knew very little actually. We blame Professor Alice Roberts for our interest, because we were watching Digging for Britain. Binge watched that for about 3 months, which brought us into the idea that it was near where we were going to be staying, and we thought that'd be a great way to just come out and see a bit of history we wouldn't normally get to see.
I saw a little bit on a programme on, I think it was Digging for Britain, a couple of years ago, so I knew it existed, and I've always been interested in this sort of history. I've done a little bit of digging further south from here on Neolithic sites. So when I saw that there was a dig going on and we could come up and have a look at it and somebody would tell us about it, it's great. Something to do, yeah.
Well, I suppose been here plenty of times, and often if you've got people staying, then whatever's written on the board probably as much as. But came to a talk from Julian Thomas, I don't know, a couple of years or so ago.
Well, been coming here for years on and off and brought the children here and everything, but didn't really think that much about the history of it. And over time found more and more, and the excavations have done a lot to open that up, I think. You know, more people are talking about it, aren't they? Mm. And the local history groups have taken it up. And I think it's got a lot of more interest in the area, hasn't it?
Yes.
And Snod Hill Castle getting involved as well.
The first year that we were here, so 2016, Dr. Dew, Keith, and I think it was Tim Hovard came down to scope us out and have a little talk with us and explain that a lot of students would be descending on the village in July, usually after Glastonbury had finished, and they were I think they were probably making sure that we weren't going to be feeding the young adults shots until about 4 o'clock in the morning like our predecessors had. And I said no, because no, I can't, because A, I work, and B, they're supposed to be digging the next day. How are they going to be digging if they're up chucking until 6 o'clock in the morning? You can't do that. So no, we were very happy to reassure the leaders that the antics of the previous incumbents at the Pandy wouldn't be continued. So that was quite funny, the relief on their faces. Yeah, that was really good. I don't know, I consider them to be friends, and I look forward to seeing them, and I think that they know that they can rely on me, and I can also rely on them. So if we have any issues at all or anything that I feel is a problem, I know that I can contact them about. One year I noticed that 2 of the girls were very, very withdrawn and quite reclusive. Didn't seem to talk to any of the kids, any of the other students. And so I just mentioned it, maybe keep an eye on these girls because I think they're struggling. And they do, you know. So it's like it's a good back and forth that you have, and you have this kind of trust that you can talk to them, and they know that they can talk to me as well. You know, if they have any issues, I'm going to keep an eye out and make sure the people are okay.
No one really knows, but they're starting to build a picture of the complete site.
I was really pleased to find that they had found bones. It was funny because we were only talking the other night, weren't we, and said, oh, you know, it would be really nice if they found some evidence of burial there. So the fact that they found not only the bones but the cremation remains as well, which may or may not be human, it just ties in with that wider understanding of sacred sites and what was going on at the time.
Also links up with a lot of other sites where we've seen similar.
And particularly the fact that the site had been reused, I find that really interesting.
I guess I was sort of familiar with long barrows and the sort of Neolithic period, and I knew this was quite a complex site. But to actually see it in the you know, the environment and see what's around it, I think you start to understand why it's here. And it's a beautiful location. I guess if you can have your bones put anywhere, it's not a bad place to start, is it?
For myself, it was really interesting hearing about the entranceways into Arthur's Stone and the possible relationships with the fields behind, and learning a bit more about the passageway that they've been talking about. I realise now I didn't really understand much about it, and really about its linking up possibly with lower down, and it might have been settlements lower down, and the link with that to the water in the Golden Valley. I thought that was really interesting actually, and made a lot of sense, you know, because apart from it just being an obvious vantage point up here with the views, it makes a lot of sense to see it being a settlement down there and all the water, and so it came alive a lot more, I think, don't you?
And I like the fact that Evie said that there was no hierarchy, didn't she, in the way
that's
people
right.
were
I've forgotten
buried?
that. That was really interesting.
Good to hear.
But there might have been a travelling person who went round and just helped lead the various ceremonials.
Yes.
But it was really good talk, really interesting.
That if you have lots of people using your Wi-Fi, obviously it makes the payment system and the till and everything slower. So it really, really does frustrate a lot of people. So that makes things an awful lot easier. Also, every single time that somebody pays for half a Coke at £1.20, I'm having to pay a percentage and pay a fee. So I end up getting about 80p of that £1.20. So it actually costs me as a business a lot of money. But then, the reason we started to do the tabs as well, not just because of that, is because like a lot of these students come from the city. And a lot of students tend to be looked down upon, you know, not trusted. The assumption is that they're going to do a runner, or they're going to abuse somebody's trust. So I think it's quite important to teach them, the teacher, that not everybody in this world is mistrustful, and that you are trusted, and we do trust you to not to abuse this system. And I've heard kids in the gardens, kids again, I do apologise, I know they're young people, they're students, they're adults, you know, but yeah, the kids, they're out in the garden, they're calling their mum, and they're like, because I'm sitting in my garden, they go, oh mum, you never guess what, they're giving me a tab in the pub with my name on it, it's brilliant. And you can hear mum going, what do you mean, your own tab? No, they're fine, we can pay after a couple of days. And it's just that feeling of that somebody trusts them, and you know, you can sort of see them thought like, oh, hang on a minute, you know, yeah, I don't know, it's just another learning moment for them, isn't it? People already in April, so the diggers coming this year. So, well, I'm assuming they are, yes. Oh, right, so when are they coming? July is per usual, usually after Glastonbury. Oh, yeah, that's right, because Dr. Dew likes Glastonbury, yes. So where are they going to be digging? I said, well, I'm not sure, possibly, you know, so the questions start coming in April. What are they going to be doing? What do you think they'll find? And then, you know, throughout the process, have they found anything? What have they, you know, and it creates a real buzz in the community. It really gets people interested in their settlements, so the areas that they're living in. It makes them think a lot deeper about things like the topography. So you're looking at the hills, and you know, when it was the dig on Dawson Hill itself, the beacon that would have been lit there from the Halls of the Dead, that it would have been seen for many miles around, and it sort of gets people looking at their areas in a completely different way, and it makes them, I think it makes them more connective and more protective, I find as well, of their communities and of the sites that people have been digging on. And when there's, you know, I mean, I've got on my till, there's a rolling photo, and I've got some photos from the dig on there. And so when people from Arf come into the pub, they'll say, oh, what's those photos over there? And then you'll have people at the bar, you know, some of the locals will then jump in and say, oh, you know, this is an archaeological dig. This has been going on for, you know, eons. That they've been, well, obviously not eons, but you know, that they've been coming. And then there'll be these people that you never really thought listened and actually took in the information, telling these people about the dig and what they found, and talking about the Halls of the Living and the Halls of the Dead, and that at you know, Arthur Stone they found this this processionary way, and you know, and that it really does invigorate, I think, the community in quite a long way. Yeah, it does. It definitely invigorates the community. I mean, the people that we see, I mean, obviously, I'm admin on the Dalston Forum and part of the Dalston Dwellings project and other things to do with history in the area. There's people that are connected with that you don't tend to see in the village very much. They don't get out very much. They're quite recluse. And this really involves them, you know, that it's something that they're constantly sharing the information that the archaeologists are putting out on the Facebook pages. So for the Dawson Hill, I can't come up with the name of the pages, but it's to do with the archaeological dig on the hill, that he's always sharing this information. And I know that he's contacted them about something that he's found on some of his land, that you have people coming to the talks that are given every single week, you know, once a week whilst the dig is going on. The amount of people that go to it and that are so incredibly interested in what's going on in their community, and have a really deep interest in what has been found and what can be done with the information that has been gathered. So I think that's been a real eye-opener, you know, for me, to see people this interested in what has been going on. You could, I mean, I'm supposed to be a businesswoman. I don't think I'm a very good businesswoman. If I was, I'd be doing a lot better probably. But so I could be very cynical and say that this has a great monetary impact on the business, and it does. But for me, the knock-on effect of that is that the students coming here and buying as much butty as they do, as much Gwatkin cider as they do, as much Newton Farm, as much Robinson's. They're all small producers. I mean, yes, Wye Valley's very big, but it's still considered to be a microbrewery because it brews under a certain amount of beer per week. So what they're doing is, by drinking our drink, by eating our foods, by eating our crisps, it has a wider knock-on for all of the small businesses that we support and that we stock. You know, and it really is, it has a greater ripple effect to the wider community. I mean, you've got the playing fields that they're staying on. The money that's paid there helps fund a charity. So you have all of these different things that possibly don't even get thought about that much, that do actually get an awful lot of support from the students. And also when they're taken out to different areas, so going into Hay on Wye, they go on day trips and stuff, that again raises awareness, it brings people back into the area, and it reinvigorates places, and it kind of gets known again. So, you know, you have some of these students coming from Manchester, Cardiff, wherever it is that they actually hail from. They may come back to this area in the future and think, do you know what, when I was a student I had the best time there, I'm going to go back there on holiday. So, you know, it's got this rollover effect by bringing so many students into such a small area, and a really rural and kind of out of the way area. you know, it could actually impact on the areas that they visit for quite a long time. I completely geek out on it, it's wonderful. I wanted to be an archaeologist when I was younger. Actually, I wanted to be an Egyptologist because it's warmer. So I thought that was, hence the going back to Greek, and but I think it's fascinating, you know, it really is. You know, you're uncovering these stories and gaining such a deeper understanding about things that went on, and you know, was it Dr. Dew said, you know, it's the transition between the hunter-gatherers and actually settling and farming. And then you look in this area and it has such a rich history of farming that you can, and there's so little is developed here really, that you could actually look out on the hills and think, God, you know, this is probably what it's looked like for hundreds of years, thousands of years. I mean, how far do you go back? I mean, not obviously, you know, the hedges are coming and all that kind of thing, but the actual shape of the land hasn't changed that much. When you see the depth of the earth that's on top of Arthurstone where they've been digging, you know, you get down to bedrock, you know, you're talking a tiny amount of earth really. So it's not as if there's been a lot of decay has fallen on top of it, and so the actual shape of the hills have changed. So I think it's fascinating. And then when you have things like Arthurstone, you know, the stones themselves, you're custodians to that. You know, you have to look after it, and you have to make sure that these things are preserved, because if you're looking back through the eyes of all of these ancestors, you know, they've all walked past these things, they've all asked questions about them, thought about them. So it's, you know, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because I mean, yeah, I suppose you could, depends on who you are, you could take it, you could turn it into be a negative experience. You know, you've taken over this quiet country pub, and then all of a sudden you have these Mancunians and these people from Cardiff, and oh my God, heaven forbid, you know, the Americans are coming as well. You know, some people can be quite, excuse me, that could be quite off-putting, I suppose, you know, but everybody is so approachable, and they are just, I mean, every single year just seems to get better and better with the students that are getting here. So they are just absolute darlings, each and every single one of them. I haven't met one of these people that I haven't liked. Not a one. You know, some of them have been a bit bolshy, and you know, but that's the age of that these young men can be in. They can be quite bolshy, but they've always been approachable. And the most important thing is, I think, is to keep communications open with the leaders of the team. I think that's really, really important. And that you just embrace it. Yes, it's busy. Yes, it's hectic. Yes, it gets messy. Yes, you'll find grass in spots that you never ever thought you'd find grass before. But that's all part of the experience, isn't it? And lines of communication need to be kept open. I think that's really, really important. The pub isn't going anywhere apparently for at least 18 months, which means if I'm lucky, I'll have another 2 archaeological visits, which would literally be the best thing ever, but of course I can't promise that. I'm going to miss you dreadfully. And Ian, if you chuck me off of this WhatsApp group, I will hunt you down and I will find you. And I will play Celine Dion songs outside your window very, very loudly. No, but I mean, it's just been the best experience, and I adore all of you, and I love following you on Facebook and seeing how you grow and where you go and what you do, and I get to live vicariously through each and every single one of you, and Catherine and Kath and June, Dr. Nick and Max and Louis and Lara, and God, I mean, I can't remember everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know with you and being able to go through this experience with you all, and thank you for including me.